Welcome to Verify This, the show that answers your questions and separates fact from fiction so you can determine whether viral claims online are true or false. I'm your host, Brandon Lewis. Here's a quick look at what we're covering today on Verify This. Does the Inflation Reduction Act raise income taxes on the middle class? Is the IRS hiring agents to audit middle and lower income earners? Was there 0% inflation in July, as President Biden tweeted? Did former President Barack Obama keep millions of his administration's records? And are some tampons more harmful than others? First, this is your show, and we want to hear from you. So as we go along, tag us on your favorite social media app at Verify This, or sign up for our daily Fast Facts and then text with us at 202-410-8808. On August 16th, President Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law. The bill was passed along party lines. As details of the bill were introduced, several claims began to swirl about its potential impact on the public. Casey Decker reviewed the bill to look into whether the Inflation Reduction Act will increase taxes on the middle class.
Few issues have Americans' attention right now more than inflation, which has reached levels not seen since the 80s. But President Joe Biden recently claimed good news, tweeting, quote, "July's 0% inflation and last week's booming jobs report underscore the kind of economy we're building." But is that actually true? Was there really 0% inflation in July? Well, to verify, we went to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve. Inflation is just a measure of how much prices are increasing. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks the price of common goods to create the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, and it measures changes in price both from month to month and year to year. So if you look at the month of July, you can see the CPI did not increase at all, meaning prices did not rise from the end of June to the end of July. So it is accurate to say there was no new inflation in the month of July. And Biden's statistic of, quote, July's 0% inflation is correct. But if you compare prices in July 2022 to July 2021, you'll see they increased 8.5%. The Federal Reserve says the ideal annual inflation rate is 2%. So we're still many times higher than that, and inflation is definitely still a problem. But it didn't become a worse problem in July, indicating it could at least be slowing down. Of course, because CPI is an index of a bunch of different goods, how inflation is actually affecting you will vary depending on where you live and what you buy. For instance, gas prices are going down, but food prices are still rising. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
That wasn't the only claim made by opponents of the Inflation Reduction Act. A viral tweet by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy claimed the bill will also provide funding for 87,000 IRS agents to audit the middle class. Adian Day-Till explains how that funding will actually be used.
Do you make $75,000 or less? Democrats' new army of 87,000 IRS agents will be coming for you. That warning from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has people on social media worried that the IRS is hiring more agents to target the middle class. But that's not true. Using these sources, let me walk you through where that 87,000 number came from and what the IRS is actually planning to do. The Senate recently passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which includes $80 billion in funding to the IRS over the next 10 years. According to the bill, which was passed by Congress and is awaiting President Biden's signature, about half of that IRS funding would be put towards expenses for the agency's task enforcement services. And that does include hiring more people. But the bill doesn't specify how many people. And the U.S. Department of the Treasury says claims that new agents will be hired to audit the middle class are false. So where did that 87,000 number come from? Well, we traced it to this May 2021 report from the Treasury Department, which estimated how many full-time employees the IRS could hire over the next decade if they received $80 billion in funding. The Treasury is projecting that 50,000 IRS staff members will retire or leave the agency in the next 5 years. And many of the projected hires would be to fill those vacated roles. And not all of these new hires will be agents tasked with auditing. In a recent letter, IRS Commissioner Chandler Redmond assured senators that the IRS would not increase audit scrutiny on small businesses or middle-income Americans. A spokesperson for the Treasury Department confirmed what the commissioner said, adding that new hires will include some new auditors who will focus on corporate and high-end tax evaders, as well as other staffers tasked with improving taxpayer services. So we can verify, no, the IRS is not increasing audits on the middle class, nor are they hiring 87,000 new auditors. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
We looked into even more claims about the Inflation Reduction Act on our TikTok, like this one, where Ariane explains who qualifies for the $35 monthly cap on insulin. To see the full video, just go to the app and search Verify This, then click the follow button so you can stay on top of all of our latest fact checks. The FBI is still reviewing classified documents that were seized from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate earlier this month. After the raid, Trump issued a statement claiming former President Barack Obama held on to records after he left office. So we looked into whether that's true. On August 8th, the FBI searched former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The Washington Post reported agents were searching for classified documents related to nuclear weapons, among other things. In response, Trump issued a now deleted statement that former President Barack Obama kept 33 million pages of documents, much of them classified. So, let's verify. Did former President Barack Obama keep 33 million pages of his administration's records? Our sources are the National Archives and Records Administration and the Presidential Records Act. For nearly 2 centuries, presidential records were considered the president's private property. This changed in the wake of the Watergate scandal, and in 1978, the Presidential Records Act was passed, requiring presidents to turn over nearly all of their paper records to the National Archives when they leave office. In most cases, presidents will then work with the National Archives to display some of their records in a presidential library, but the records remain the property of the archives. The National Archives responded to Trump's claims about Obama, saying that they are in possession of all 30 million pages of records that Obama turned over. So, no, former President Barack Obama did not keep 33 million pages of his administration's records. The Obama Foundation is working to digitize items and make them available online, although the foundation says the process was delayed during the pandemic. This show works best when we hear from you. So if you see a viral claim and want to know if it's true, text us at 202-410-8808 once you sign up for our daily Fast Fact text alerts. If you send us your question as a video, you could end up in the show. One topic that you've been texting us a lot about is inflation. It's impacting nearly everything we buy, but President Joe Biden recently tweeted that there was 0% inflation in July. Casey Decker adds some important context to the president's claim.
Few issues have Americans' attention right now more than inflation, which has reached levels not seen since the 80s. But President Joe Biden recently claimed good news, tweeting, quote, "July's 0% inflation and last week's booming jobs report underscore the kind of economy we're building." But is that actually true? Was there really 0% inflation in July? Well, to verify, we went to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve. Inflation is just a measure of how much prices are increasing. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks the price of common goods to create the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, and it measures changes in price both from month to month and year to year. So if you look at the month of July, you can see the CPI did not increase at all, meaning prices did not rise from the end of June to the end of July. So it is accurate to say there was no new inflation in the month of July. And Biden's statistic of, quote, July's 0% inflation is correct. But if you compare prices in July 2022 to July 2021, you'll see they increased 8.5%. The Federal Reserve says the ideal annual inflation rate is 2%. So we're still many times higher than that, and inflation is definitely still a problem. But it didn't become a worse problem in July, indicating it could at least be slowing down. Of course, because CPI is an index of a bunch of different goods, how inflation is actually affecting you will vary depending on where you live and what you buy. For instance, gas prices are going down, but food prices are still rising. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
It's time for this week's Did You Know, where we feature one relatively unknown, interesting fact that we, of course, verified. Baseball is my favorite sport, and it's always exciting to see up-and-coming prospects with a lot of potential. Did you know minor leaguer Chandler Redmond just became the second player in history to hit a home run cycle? This is when a player hits a solo, 2-run, 3-run, and a grand slam home run in the same game. Redmond hit the home run cycle on August 10th while playing for the Springfield, Missouri Cardinals. The last time a player did this was in 1998, and it was also in the minor leagues. No major league player has ever hit the home run cycle. If you'd like that Did You Know, sign up for our daily newsletter. It has a new Did You Know every day, as well as 3 fast facts and more of our most recent stories. To sign up, just go to verifythis.com/email. Another story that we recently featured was on a viral claim that tampons contain a harmful chemical. Audie on Day Till spoke with some experts to verify whether some tampons are safer than others.
A warning for people who use tampons has gone viral.
Because one of the ingredients on the back of her container is titanium dioxide, which, if you don't know, causes cancer.
This TikTok video and several others on social media have claimed titanium dioxide, a whitening agent, is harmful for people who use tampons.
There's been an uproar lately about tampons.
Bobby Parrish, a social media influencer, said titanium dioxide is really bad for reproductive health and claims it can cause excessive bleeding. But there's no evidence that that's true. Using these sources, I'll explain what the titanium dioxide is used for in tampons and why health experts say it's not harmful to humans. Titanium dioxide is a white substance used to enhance the color and sheen of certain foods and everyday household products, including the thread attached to some brands of tampon, like Tampax. There are very few studies on the effects of titanium dioxide on humans. There are, however, several studies done on rats that showed prolonged exposure to titanium dioxide through inhalation caused some rats to develop cancerous tumors in their lungs. But gynecologist Jen Gunter says people who use tampons that contain titanium dioxide don't have anything to worry about. She says humans aren't exposed to the titanium dioxide in tampons the same way as the rats studied, adding that titanium dioxide doesn't dissolve in water, meaning that the nanoparticles aren't going to dissolve from the tampon string and then get absorbed by the body. While the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified titanium dioxide as possibly carcinogenic to humans, the American Chemistry Council says that determination was based on animal studies. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists told Verify there is no evidence that suggests that any tampons are safer than any other tampons, so we do not recommend any over the others. So we can verify, no, there's no evidence that titanium dioxide in tampons is harmful to humans. With your Verify, I'm Audie on Day Till.
We have time for one last Did You Know before we go. It's summer, and that means I get to perfect my marshmallow roasting around a campfire to make s'mores. So, did you know that the rectangular breakable sections of a Hershey's bar are called pips? There are 12 pips in a regular sized bar, and Hershey's recommends using 6 for a standard s'more. Personally, I like to use just 3 pips. Yum, I can taste that graham cracker perfection now. On behalf of our entire team, I hope you enjoyed our show and learned something new today. I'm your host, Brandon Lewis. Don't forget, there are many more stories on our website, verifythis.com, and please click the watch button to see even more of our video stories. As always, if there's something else you want us to verify, just sign up for our free daily Fast Facts by texting VERIFY to 202-410-8808. Once you're signed up, you can text us your claims or questions using the same number. If you send your question to us as a video, you could end up in our show. Our number is still on your screen, so lock us in and we'll see you back here next week with answers to more of your questions verified. For more episodes of Verify This, go to our video on demand. Click on shows at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Verify This, plus other shows on demand.